Okay, we start now on Unit 3, Part 2 of the large review. Here we go. Sharon correctly answers 50 questions on her science test. There are 80 questions on the test. Enter the percent of the questions Sharon answered correctly. Okay, so we're doing the part over whole again. 50 is the part, 80 is the total number of questions, and now we have to find the percent. Okay, so I went ahead and made the table. Here we go. Here's our part, the 50, the whole amount. The total number of questions is 80, and we need to get it out of 100 to get the percentage. So we're just going to add some lines here, see if we can give us some options. Okay, so if we divide them both by 10, that's going to give us 5 and 8, right? 50 divided by 10 is 5, 80 divided by 10 is 8. 8 doesn't get me directly to 100 somehow. I don't know. Let's cut them in half. 50, half of 50 is 25. Half of 80 is 40. That still doesn't make it real easy to get from 40 to 100. Um, hmm. Well, I'm not too bad with working with halves as long as they're small. So let's go from 5 to 8. Let's divide those in half. Half of 5 is 2.5, right? 2.5 plus 2.5 is 5. And then half of 8 is 4. Okay, at this point, I can get there, right? Because 4 times something will get you directly to 100. So it's 4 times 25, right? So then we're going to do 2.5 times 25. Okay, well, 2 times, let's see, 2 times 25 is 50, right? And then 25 halves, well, 24 halves would be 12. Plus another half. So that would ultimately be 12 and a half. So 50 plus 12 and a half would be 62.5. Okay, so basically the percent would be 62.5%. Is that one of our options up here? Yep, right over there, 62.5%. That is the question or the answer to this. Again, you could just take the shortcut on this, 50 divided by 80, you're going to end up with 0.625. Then you multiply that by 100 and get 62.5. So there is a shortcut to this, but once again, I like to show you what it looks like if you do the part over whole, because if you ever get stuck, no matter what you're missing, you can do it this way. All right, let's do the next one. Okay, I already put the chart on here, but let's read the question. It says a computer chip company finds that 180 out of every 200 chips work properly. Pick the percent of the chips that work properly. Okay, that's easy enough. So we just basically need to get to 100%. And boy, is this going to be easy this time. So we need to get to 100%. I'm going to put it way down here. Not sure why I'm going to do that because I do have options where I can say, okay, well, divide 10 into that and it's 18 and 20 and then so on and so forth. I mean, we could. So there's an 18 here, there's a 20 here. So we could do that way. Um, yeah, we can just go on and on. But I've, figured right off the bat to get from 200 down to 100, you just divide by 2. So then you do the same thing with 180. Well, half of 180 is 90. So this one was pretty easy. Pick the percentage of chips that work properly. The answer is 90%. Now, if I did kind of use this one, the 18 and the 20, we could have said 20 times what will give you 100? Well, 20 times 5, and then 18 times 5 would give you 90, right? So, yeah, so that'll give you 90. I just double checking, making sure. All right, so either way, that would have given you the answer for this one. And that's all you have to do. Once again, since you're finding the percent, you could just take 180 divided by 200. That would give you 0.9. Okay, and then just multiply that by 100, which moves it over 2 places, which gives you your 90%. A zoo knows that 3 out of 5 animals are mammals. Okay, so 3 out of every 5 are mammals. So pick the percent of the animals at the zoo that are not mammals. Okay, so We're going to find out how many are mammals and then just, figure out how many we're missing out of 100 on that one. So let's go ahead and make our chart. Okay, so I did a lot of work just right off the bat here, and once again, we have 3 out of the 5, so that's our part. 3 is the part, 5 is the total, so 3 out of every 5. And I thought, you know what, let's multiply them both by 3. That gave me 9 and 15. Well, 15 doesn't get me to 100 real easily. So then I did 3 times 5, which is 15, 5 times 5, which is 25. I thought, well, you know what, that's going to work just fine because I can get from 25 to 100 no problem. But I thought, you know what, let's just keep going. 3 times 10 is 30, 5 times 10 is 50, and 50 is going to get us straight to 100 very easily as well. Let's just use that one. Okay, that'll make life really easy. 3 times what is 100? Obviously, times 2. So 6 or 30, I gave away. 30 times 2 is 60. So 60 out of 100. Now let's just make sure we're answering the right question. So it's basically 60% are mammals, right? So it says, pick the percent of the animals at the zoo that are not mammals. So then we have to take 100% minus 60, and that would end up with 40%. Okay, so that would be our answer for this one. We just have to read the question carefully so we don't answer it incorrectly. So 40% would be not mammals, since 60% are mammals. In a school with 200 students, 45% are males. Which expression can be used to find the total number of male students? Okay, well, let's look at this. Okay, so 45% can be written as 45 out of 100, or 45 over 100, and then we're going to take that percent. Okay, so 45 divided by 100, which would be 0.45. Remember, you always have to do somewhere where you're dividing by 100. So that's done. So 45 over 100, and then we're going to multiply that by the number of students. Okay, so if we have 100 is our whole amount, to get to 200, you just double it, right? So that's what we're going to end up doing is 45 over 100 times 200. Okay, because 45 over 100 gives us how much per one student. So if you look at these options over here, this has 45 over 1,000, 0.45 over 100. Nope. If you had 0.45, it'd be 0.45 over 1, right? Because we divided by it. So 0.4 or 45 over 100 or 45 over 10. Yeah. So in this situation, this one would be the answer because you're doing 45 over 100 times 200. There's your answer for that one. All right, in a school with 200 students, 45% are males. Which expression can be used to find the total number of male students? Well, this looks like the same question almost. So let's look for the 45 over 100. Well, that doesn't exist, right? So we did say that 45 over 100, okay, would be the same thing if you did 45 divided by 100. It would be basically 0.45, right? 0.45. So that could be what we want to look for. And then again, we would take that times 200. So we have 0.545 over 100. No, it's not over 100. 45 over 1,000. Nope. 0.45 times 200. That's it. So we took the 45 over 100, went ahead and converted it already, and do the same thing that we did on the previous one, just multiply it by 200, and that should give us our answer. Okay, so 0.45 times 200 is the correct answer for that one. Okay, so these are pretty quick. Right, so now Susie needs to calculate 63% of 300. Susie wrote down an explanation. Can this explanation be used to calculate 63% of 300? Susie could multiply 0.63 or 0.63 and 300. So just basically multiply those two numbers. Well, is that true? Well, this looks pretty promising because remember, 63%, which is right here, can be written a couple more ways. 63 over 100, or again, 63 divided by 100, move the decimal over and get rid of the 100. So that's 0.63. So can she just take 0.63 times 300 and get the answer for that? The answer is definitely a yes. Definitely yes, okay, because 0.63 is the same thing as 63 over 100. Susie needs to calculate 63% of 300. Susie wrote down an explanation. Can this explanation be used to calculate 63% of 300? Susie could multiply 63 times 3. Ooh, that's interesting. So 63 times 3. Well, there's 63%. There's 300. Well, what do we notice? Well, to get from 300 down to 3, what do you have to divide by? Yeah, you have to divide by 100 to get down to 3. Okay, so as long as 63 is divided by 100, or the 300 is divided by 100, it doesn't matter. At that point, as long as you divide one of those numbers by 100, because that's percent, then you can just multiply them together. So guess what? In this situation, the answer is yes. It is correct. We could do that because dividing 300 by 100 will give you 3, and then multiply those numbers will be the part out of 300. So 189 out of 300. So yeah, that'll give you the same answer as if you did 63 divided by 100 and then multiplied by 300. 63 divided by 100 multiplied by 300. So it's the same thing as doing it that way. You're just doing the other number divided by 100 first. Here we go again with Susie. Susie needs to calculate 63% of 300. Susie wrote down an explanation. Can this explanation be used to calculate 63% of 300? Susie could multiply 63 and 300. So it's going to multiply both of those and then divide by 10. Well, do you guys see what's wrong with this? Okay, we can't divide by 10. We have to divide either 63 or 300 by 100 and then multiply them together, or you could actually multiply 63 times 300, get that answer, and divide by 100. But why does it always have to be 100? Because we are dealing with this right here. Percent means per 100. So Susie could multiply those two numbers, then divide by 10. The answer is no. Can't do it. Not going to work. So it has to be divided by 100. Still working with Susie here. Susie needs to calculate 63% of 300. Susie wrote down an explanation. Can this explanation be used to calculate 63% of 300? All right, here's the statement. Susie could divide 63 and 100, then multiply by 300. Yeah, of course this is going to work because dividing 63 by 100, okay, would look like this. That is 63%. And then you're going to take that times 300. Yeah, that's something that we saw earlier on. So Susie could divide 63 by 100. Yep, 63 over 100, which is 63%, which is also 0.63. All of those things you can take times 300, and that will give you your answer. So the answer is yes. Okay, because 63 divided by 100 will give you how many per 1. So multiplying that by 300 will get you how many for 300. So there you go. There's lots of ways you can look at it, but yes, that one will definitely work. Okay, now in a zoo with 500 animals, well, that's a nice round number. Anyway, 35% are mammals. Okay, so 35% out of the 500, so not half of them, so not 250, less than that. Anyway, which expression can be used to calculate the total number of mammals? Okay, so they're not asking us how many are not mammals, they're asking us how many are mammals. Okay, 35% is 35 over 100. So we're going to just look for a 35 over 100, which is this one. Okay, then we're going to multiply that by 500. So that's obviously the answer. 35 over 100 times 500. That would have to be the one in this situation.